What's your name?
Tap in, tap in. What up, though? Peace to the guys, man. God rising, God rising. I don't know what time it is. That's right, read that screen. This the problem we got right now. You feel me? This is the issue. I just actually, I just got kicked off a panel. Because they don't understand and don't got the information I got. You gonna call my book pseudo, you ain't read it. You caught up in the name of the author. Don't get caught up in the name of the author. Did you get the message? That's the problem. People be caught up in it like you'll never get the message. You'll miss it every time. That's a problem for me. What you thought, white people wasn't miseducated? Yeah, they was miseducated as well. They got to get re-educated just like we do. They were taught false history as well. They casualties of war, right? It's ridiculous. Read that screen. All right, the ignorance and rejection, right, of history allows whites to continue in illusions of greatness and white supremacy that can only be eliminated by unfolding the layers of rejected history. What most white people fail to understand is that they too have been denied access to the true history which undergirds their present life. And in the absence of truth, fail to gain knowledge of themselves in rejecting the truth of black history all the way back to the beginning. They have rejected the truth of themselves and the crucial key to unlocking the doors to both the past and present, and therefore any clear path towards the future. So we will see a perpetual state of this, of these nations just falling due to amalgamation, right? Racism, right? And a few other things that comes along with that. And this is the problem. All right. So we're gonna get into some of this information. You feel me? Because when you whitewash history, as they're still doing right now, they're still whitewashing history. All right. Because in a minute, you see what the Romans, y'all see what the Romans did to to Hadass, to Hannibal. You see how they destroyed every record, they tried to destroy everything about those black people. You feel what I'm saying? Took everything about Hadass. And that's the same thing that they're doing now. You feel me? We're talking about Greek plagiarism, Roman plagiarism, European plagiarism, American plagiarism. You know? Let's start with the 5 Negro presidents. right? The J.A. Rogers documents that the mulatto identity of 5 American presidents passing for white. Presidents Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, Warren Harding, Andrew Jackson, and Abraham Lincoln. America's 6th mulatto president was Dwight Eisenhower, right? Which was the 34th president of the United States, right? And we know that the first one was John Hanson, right? Named John Hanson. He was a black man, okay? Beethoven, all right? Beethoven was mulatto. So we're gonna play with this, right? Europeans, right, and their white American descendants have much African blood from centuries of miscegenation with Africans. That's why Spaniards, Greeks, and Italians are so dark, right? We know that to be true. Peace to everybody that tapped in. Thank you for the roses. Tap the screen, share it live. Peace to everybody that tapped in. You know, this really ain't the build I'm gonna give, you know. But we're gonna start, you know, with just a little something to open it up, you know, until I come back on live. Right? Let's talk about the African Moors that ruled southwest Europe for centuries, right? Darkened whites in this area. They darkened the whites in that area, especially the Portugal, right? Described as the first example of the Negrito, which is the African Republic in Europe. Moors ruling Scotland in the 10th century, mixed with whites until they disappeared. Black Celts, right? The Silures, and black Vikings mixed with the Scandinavian people. Okay? The blind Negroid type is common even in Nordic Europe, where intermixing has been happening since antiquity, right? Even Hitler's Aryans had black blood. 1940, the Huns included black Mongolians who mixed heavily with the Aryan Germans. Black slavery lasted in England for about 400 years, from 1440 to 1834, during which time much race mixing had occurred. All right? So I be building on a lot of the, you know, what's actually, you know, what's going on. People be like, oh, it's pseudo. The panel I just left, they like, you're pseudo. How is it pseudo? And you read what somebody said about the book on Google. You ain't even read the book. One chick said she debunked everything in the book. I answered every question these people asked me. Right? She talked about the Toba supervolcano and that didn't happen. How would you know? You just Googled it. I'm telling you, you need to go buy this book. Because of the African contributions that it has made to the world that they said that we didn't make. Now the book on the screen is Sue Zars, which is a black woman. Right? I own 5, 6 of her books. And she's awesome. That book is called Blacked Out Through Whitewash. You know? Damn, how do I change the screen? How do I change the screen? I want to change it. Okay. Enhance. Effects. Let me see, is that it? Yep, that's it. Alright. Alright, people. My grandkids is up. I can hear them in the background. They are chilling. No. Why would you do that? 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 Why wo Yeah, go back. All right. All right. Cause this Korean dude, he act like he wasn't. It's just like you don't know the history. Gonna tell me I'm tripping while all the black people listening to him while they dogging me out. Yeah, that's crazy, man. There was only one black person that was there that was like, man, I want to hear what he want to say. Finish reading. Everybody else was just, it's just ridiculous, man. I'm all over the place because y'all asking me, because I'm trying to answer every damn question y'all ask me, and I'm giving you references, and the references that you check, you got a hostile bias to it, and it's ridiculous. All right. So on the screen, right, that's another book. So now I'm gonna go to another book, right, and we're gonna go to Southeast Asia's, which is the diminutive black people in Southeast Asia. All right, let me see, 162. All right, because these people were black. I don't know why these, like, we know that they phenotypically change and all of that. No, I don't want to hear none of that. I'm trying to give you some actual factual, you know what I'm saying, through proven evidence who these people are. It's crazy. And who they were. Just because you denied, we all came from Africa. But but you still try to deny it in a certain sense by dogging us out and telling me what I'm saying ain't real. Then you're gonna tell me my book can be debunked. How you gonna debunk a book that you ain't read? It had no peer reviews. You be the peer and review it. You review it. It's crazy. Very disrespectful. How you gonna identify as Korean, but you don't identify as Mongolian? Like, come on, man. The diminutive black people in Southeast Asia, we use the term diminutive black people because we don't want to call them pygmy or the Twa, right? It says, Armandi Cartrefax, author of The Pygmies, has documented an ancestral Negrito presence preceding the tall black populations that followed them everywhere in Southeast Asia. Renvernu, the famed French paleoanthropologist who reconstructed the Negroid Grimaldi remains, also noted black features among the oldest remains of Southeast Asia. In Southeast Asia, the DPB, diminutive black people, survive in the jungles, rural areas, and remote regions in sizable numbers. As George Weber documents in his Lonely Islands website, there are literally hundreds of Negrito tribes scattered throughout Southeast Asia who descend from the original diminutive black people. Weber devotes a chapter to the Negrito race, wherein he documents 53 populations of two types. One, Negrito and Negritoid, corresponding to the dwarf or pygmy populations, and two, the Veda and the Vedoid, corresponding to taller, usually coarse-haired Negroid populations, right? Weber notes that although he thought that the Negrito to be the earliest human inhabitants of Southeast Asia, dating back to at least 50,000 years ago, they were in most part superseded by waves of the Australoid and Melanesian types during the during the later Paleolithic, who were themselves followed still later by Austroasiatic peoples. The Mongoloid type was the last to make his way across Southeast Asia. All right. And as you can see on the screen, right, it says the earlier occupants of Asia were small black pygmies. Right. And you can see down here, it says the Anus. Right. That is the Anu, Japan's oldest known inhabitants. So when you think of the Anunnaki, right, also you can get the Nagi. Look up the Nagi people, right? Matter of fact, let me see. Where are you? Who were the Nagas of India? The Nagas of East India and the Shawpin people of the Nicobar Islands or the Nicobar Islands are predominantly Mongoloid. Hutton said some of them have traits suggesting Negro ancestry, and Guha said the Angfuni Nagas have also been considered as having some of the traits of the Negritos. The Nagas may have once been an Africoid people, but there's very little evidence to suggest this, except perhaps that they tattooed their faces black, perhaps in reverence to black ancestors or cultural leaders that had significant influence on the community. What is likely is that the bulk of the Nagas and Shawpin people came from further east within the last 5,000 years. Black East Asians headed back to India, right? And that's the other chapter. Then it says you got two types of Mongoloid, right? And then on the next page, it tells you about the Black Chinese. Okay? Are East Asians as different from Africans as we think? In some ways, the distinctions are clear, but not always. For example, there are many African people like the San, right? S-A-N, who carry the physical traits found among East Asian or Mongoloid people. Is a common origin or convergent evolution. The Kong-san, the Naki, okay, when you see down here, you see the Anu, right, down here, in this this paragraph down here about early presence, African presence in early Asia, you see the Anu. Now I'm telling you about the Nagi, okay? This is where you get the Anunnaki. However they took that story and with the with Gilgamesh and the Achata Hasis, you know, that's something else, right? But these people actually, these are black people, man, right? The Naki of southern China were once described as a black people, but today the Naki look like other Chinese. Right? And this is who these are the proto Negroloid. You feel me? It says the Australoid people associated with lineages like Y-DNA haplogroup Q left India around 16,000 years ago. They traveled north, settling in Central Asia. Some may have gone west into Europe, but most remain settled in the area now known as Northwest China and Mongolia. Here they could have easily evolved the set of traits identified with Paleo-Mongoloid people about 10,000 years ago, because somebody on this panel that kicked me out was like, well, 10,000 years ago. And I'm like, well, I got that information, but they're talking about my information is pseudo. Like, how? You ain't read the book. Right? Some of these people left and headed west between the northern fringes of Eastern Europe and Central Asia. There is evidence of Mongoloid migrations between 10,000 and 5,000 years ago. Some of these people became a part of Paleolithic Europe, enduring many of the changes of the Neolithic and surviving into modern times as the indigenous Sami people, also known as the Lapps, spelt with two P's, of the Scandinavia. Okay, another branch of these Paleo-Mongoloid people took the coastal route across China's eastern shore before settling in Southeast Asia. At this point, the movement of some genetic lineages and languages like the Munda suggests that some Paleo-Mongoloid people went back to India, where they became the ancestors of the Assam Nagas and the Nagabaras, or Baris. I said that wrong. And the reference to that would be on page 169. Okay, so let's go back to 169 in my pseudo book that they never read or bought, which is $20, and you will be you'll be an idiot not to go buy this cheap book, right? So on 169, we went back to who were the Nagas of India. Right, Southeast Asians in India. Right? Throughout eastern India, many indigenous people have traits that suggest a mix of Africoid or Australoid and Mongoloid ancestry. For example, some Orissa, Orissa, people look just like Africans, while others look more like Cambodians. One of the most well-known of these populations are the Nagas. Right? People, I don't know why, like with the Korean dude, when he was talking, they let him roll, they let him talk, and when they interrupted him, they were asking questions. When they asked me a question, I gave them what they wanted, but it was so far over their head, they wanted to call me pseudo, and he tripping, and it was just disrespectful that you would sit and listen to him, but you won't listen to me. And then when I cammed up, you know what I'm saying, then they wanted to put me on the big screen. You see what I'm saying? And it's ridiculous. So now you have a visual, now it's more appealing. That is ridiculous. But then when you listen to the information, you want to attack it. I told you to go buy these 2 books. And the first thing you did was Google and say that these books goes back to dealing with 200,000 years of history. And no, it's not true. Yeah, because it's talking about the African contributions that they told you that we didn't have. It's revealing all of that. The book is cold. You have to buy it to get the understanding. Now watch. Hopefully, if he's a real biologist, like he says, and he showed us his doctorates and all that, which we really don't care about, right? Because I knew your agenda then when you start to talk about CRISPR and talking about people can't trace this and they need to do their DNA test over and over. Yeah, but why and I'm listening to everybody and they think it's phenomenal. I'm sitting back like, man, do not stay focused. They got caught up in his credentials and he got the pale skin and he sound like and he talking like he know. They giving him hearts and everything and I'm sitting there like, so did you tell the people that CRISPR is about implementation? You feel me? It's about putting something into your genetic structure. Which you would know that because you're Korean and your field is biology, which made me actually also ask them because they keep asking them the wrong question. So what branch did you study in? Because if you studied in these particular branches, I hope you ain't just studying plants trying to tell us what we are. And that's wrong. No, this is how I knew you didn't study world history. Right. You feel me, Orange? Exactly. And I don't waver. I don't compromise. I don't agree to disagree. That is weak. That mean you don't mean what you say. That mean you don't mean what you're saying. That mean I could tell you anything. You feel me? And if you don't, like I was saying, if you don't know world history, I can tell you anything. This is why people like Earth Speaks. He can run it down like he do. You know what I'm saying? I read the Emerald Tablets. That ain't do nothing for me. I get more out the Bible than I got out of that. You know what I'm saying? The Bible way deeper. Way deeper. Esoteric, deep, esoteric, hitting, allegorical, astronomical, astrological, physiological, right? Anatomical, build. Whole Bible. Masonic in nature. Right? Deep shit. Because you got to be initiated to understand parables that Jesus spoke in. Because he was initiated if this particular nigga existed. Right? Because he had to go get his name. He had to go get the name Christ out of the Korean Gospels to tell you that he went into the chamber of the dead and he went and got his diadem, which is a crown, which is the name, the Christ, because he was the Logos. Right? Yeah. I heard her. She was mad. She snapped on me too. I ain't understand why she snapped though. Right? But when I realized, it was like, yo, you don't got it. And that's how I knew. Because if you didn't let me speak and you don't know the information, I told them about Avatar, cammed up, showed them the book and everything. Gave them a credible source, which is Anthony Browder, who wrote the Browder Files. Showed them the book and showed them that this is a cultural and historical analysis. The movie Avatar was a real thing. I showed them the actors, why they use African and Native American, you know what I'm saying, indigenous actors. They did it. Cameron did it for a reason. Because he had to make sure it had that African, that Native, that indigenous feel into it. And then they show you the symbolism in the movie, and they told you, and see, I didn't know this, right? It was all of that in there. But when I watched the movie, I already knew who was who because I knew history. I knew some of it, at least. I knew enough to know that this is when there was only 2 people on the planet, right? Or 3 people on the planet. But these 2 people were the same people, but one of them migrated and they never came back to Africa. Those are the people that also migrated over here to to America that didn't. So when people be like, we were already here, yeah, that was some of them people. They just never migrated back. Same thing, they went up into Asia. Same thing when they went up into Europe. You feel what I'm saying? Same thing when they went up into China. China closed off us for 2,000 years. I might have to ask, literally, what happened to the niggas that was there? I know it's still black people there. But the Han Dynasty, 95% of them people look the same because of the Han Dynasty. And the book that they told me that is pseudo, I learned that out of here. What's pseudo about that? Because then when the Koreans said that, I said, how's the book pseudo? But when he said it, y'all ain't had no pushback. But when I said it, it's a problem. The information gives you, it's going to give you encouragement, right? It's going to give you value of self. It's going to give you self-worth. This is why you have to have knowledge of self. Now watch this. Knowledge of self doesn't just come from an African-centric perspective. Knowledge itself is universal. If you're studying how to eat better, that is knowledge itself. Okay? If you're learning how to put a tire on, that is knowledge itself, because this is talking about self-sustainability, self-nourishment, right? It's about you educating and knowing you. In order to know how a car works, you might need to study the body. To understand how a computer works, you need to study the body. All of that is knowledge itself. Yes, you definitely have that. Absolutely. I would agree. Yes. Yeah. And the first degree, right, of knowledge itself is being analytical with self, right? What are your triggers? You know, what makes you tick? You know, what makes you feel good? What makes you feel bad? Are you a constructive listener? You know, are you about encouragement? It's about your character. All right. Knowledge itself is about building your character. In order to ascend to the high levels that people be doing all this meditation with, those are just ascetics and practices. In order to ascend, it is how you act. It is your character. You will know when you arrive, when you get to a point like you look at not a fly, because flies is irritating, but when you look at a harmless ant and then you say, I don't even want to kill him because I know he alive. I know she alive. You know what I'm saying? And you don't kill him. That's when you arrive. If you make that decision and you say, just go and let the ant live. That's when you arrive, because that is still taking life. I'm not saying don't kill the spiders that's trying to attack you and that type of thing. This is the ecosystem. You will get murdered. I seen a white lady try to call the police on a damn bear that snatched a deer in her backyard. She was like, call the police. Oh my God. Lady. that is a part of the ego. That is what's going to happen. He's supposed to eat him. You know. Yes, self-discipline. That's right, God. See, all of those are ascetics. And then once you master that, right, road to billions, like I'm pretty sure he's studying other things, right? So he can master those things, because all of those things are a part of him. So you move to the next area, refresh yourself in these areas. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, people can't focus, man. Listen, it is extremely bad. It ain't just the algorithm. Right now we have I don't want to give into it, but that's what my bill going to be about, the Aquarian age, right? That outpouring of that Holy Spirit, because people don't want to deal with the crap. We so able to soak it up real fast. We already done been there and done that, and we trying to understand why we did it in this age right now. You know. Listen, I know a brother named God Energy. There's not a book I can't pull off my shelf that he ain't. I don't know how people So I've had 4 major head injuries, and I've been slipped 2 Mickeys. It took me 2 years to get to where I'm. It took me 8 years to get to where I'm at with eating and trying to live a better life. Right. I don't know how this brother retains the information that he has, but watch this. His ancestors are Negrito. They are the Dravidian, right? And I know my other friend, he Dravidian. He extremely black. His ancestors Dravidian. They black as, I'm talking about extremely black, right? But he Dravidian, and God energy is mixed. His mother's white, right? Or something like that. Now he's a light-skinned brother, but you can hear his name, brother. He embodies what God energy, the source is. Like, he was born with 6 fingers and everything. And it's like my other boy, Yogi, the mound builder, right? He's indigenous. Like, here, when they talk that African native, he's one of the ones who's going to tell you that it's impossible for you not to be African because he's a real Native American. They here on this land, they got the big ass bones through their noses. Right now, if I call this nigga and cam up, you're gonna be like, yo, yeah, they over here. They don't play that. Like, they don't argue. They don't do the pawpaws. They real indigenous African Native American. Like, flat out. They don't play that. But you know, my brother like that. My brother was born with 6 fingers. I don't know what it is, but these people have an extremely high intelligence. I don't know what that is. Is it because of the extra finger? I don't know. But they all be on another level, you know. So it be deep, man. And they all like a genius. You hear Yogi the mound builder. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a question you can't ask him that he's probably not gonna know. You know, you got to go into fucking, I don't know, parasitism or something, mutualism, and fuck with endosymbiotics or some shit to, I don't know. They be on levels that I don't even be knowing. These are men I have no issue with being a student and falling at their feet. 360, the alchemist. I will learn from him. A lot of y'all, I'm following y'all because I will learn from y'all. I am one of those who follows to lead, and I lead to follow. You feel me? So I'm always learning, always. That's what the point is, you know. But yeah, man, we talking about Black China, Black Taiwan, Black Japan, Black Korea. You know, the dark people of China. You know what I'm saying? Li Chi. Right? People don't, they say the book pseudo and they ain't read it. You ain't went to go buy it. They seen the name was Supreme Understanding and they was, oh, 5%er. Yeah, but he's a doctor. Yeah, he went and got his bachelor's or however degrees, how many he went and got them. Right? That's the kind of man I want to follow. Somebody that has, like, literally went and got the information and stood on the shoulders of giants. Ain't that what Newton said? He said, only reason I can see this far is because I stood on the shoulders of the giants who came before me. He was talking about black people. Like, it's crazy. And then the brother pulled up another book by Supreme Understanding called Black People Invented Everything. And he was pissed about that. I would be mad too. Nobody wants to find out that everything was black. It's okay to say everything was black, but when you really go and deal with it, and they got to deal with their ancestors being black, they don't want to deal with that. They hate it. And that's crazy. I don't, listen, that's like submitting to the black woman. What is the problem? What's the issue? Y'all don't even, do you sit down with your wife or your spouse or with the woman you with and you be like, yo, let's talk about submission? Who does that? Like, who? We don't do that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. All right, we'll let you. What's up, man?
The book that you mentioned too earlier, black food and white. I know what you're talking about. Supreme knowledge, right? That's what you're
Yeah,
talking about. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
yeah.
about. Supreme knowledge. Uh, got a lot of noise, right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Now you do admit that black people, African people was in America first, correct?
That's a fact.
Fact, there's no way to get around it. Okay, cool. I just making sure we're the same because some stuff you were saying, I was like, oh, I'm kind of rocking out with some of the stuff that you were saying. Uh, I just don't like when people want to say that indigenous is not black. When you have people like
Hmm.
Dr. Vanuatu Rashidi, you have authors that I respect that put in work to describe the people on this land as being black. They might not use the word African because obviously our culture changed over time. But we're talking about
Facts.
hundreds of thousands of years. They can use the describe people, mound builders and stuff like that. Cool. Now, what was the pushback they were giving you? Why was the pushback they were giving you? Why?
So basically, I was trying to answer every question. The people that were just coming in, I had to kind of go back, regurgitate some of the stuff, really quick. And while I'm talking, people are interjecting about what they don't believe, what they didn't know, what they hadn't heard of, and it's a big room and it's going crazy. So it was a lot of pushback. My problem was when the Chinese dude was talking, they didn't do that,
And
and I
yeah,
I didn't like that.
what make him an expert in the same thing?
Exactly, exactly on black affairs. While I'm
Yeah,
trying to, I said you gotta go back to Homo habilis, right? Then you gotta go to Then you deal with the Neanderthals, and then you deal with Homo sapien, then the Solven man, and look up the last 20 ice ages, and then study glacial thermal pockets so you can get an understanding of why people look the way they look. And then I told them about the Toba super volcano that blew up like 100 and something, thousand years ago, that transformed this particular Africoid or these African people to look like the islander people that you see that's black as hell with the wavy hair and shit. Those
like
are
the
still
Hawaiian,
African people.
like the Hawaiians, people like that.
Yes,
Right.
yes, 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 yes,
It's
yes.
too black. That's what I don't know. Why do you think we get a lot of pushback from people who look like us who say that the people in America was not black? The first people in America was not black. Why do you think we get pushed back? Because I'm not understanding why the pushback.
So Dr. Khalid Muhammad said it the best. When you have taken the knowledge of self from a people, right, they become, right, or have the mind of their colonizers. We don't know.
Now, we talking about like what the Mo Fat, big suiting. We talking about people who knowledgeable and they
Yeah,
just don't
they doing
believe.
this. I
Huh?
think so. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. Right? We know what 10 percenters are.
Nah, I can't go there with that one with them.
Right. Hold on. Yeah, but this is a category that you have to we don't know these people's personal lives. I don't know. It's like when Earth speaks, right? When you hear people that have this knowledge of self, they have it and then they're pushing another agenda. How? I don't know how. When you
I
got this knowledge, bro, we don't separate. It speaks for itself.
But I can easily get out urge speak. Dude is a barber. And to be a barber, you
Hmm.
gotta take the barber class, barber school,
Hmm.
and grab it from the white man. You feel me?
Yeah.
And the white man
Yeah.
comes to that barber shop and asks, prove that you're a licensed barber, you're not gonna be talking, I'm a sovereign citizen then. Is it?
Hmm.
Too easy to debunk urge speak. Easy, yo.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
He brought me from the
That's a
box.
fact.
Easy. I can easily debunk him. He brought me like that. I asked a simple question. Got him.
Yeah.
He didn't give it up. Just focus on cutting hair. For real, just focus on
Yeah.
cutting hair,
Yeah.
man.
Oh God.
Yeah, compare. You're not gonna be a professional barber. There's nothing wrong with being a professional barber. I'm not knocking that. That's a great skill to have. Don't be talking this Marvel. bullshit, sovereign city. I don't want to hear that. Yeah, no, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Because
Right,
your,
right,
because your barber license don't say sovereign citizen on your barber license, does it? See,
right.
I can, I, I don't
Right.
him. I can either pump him. It's just the big suiting, more faxing them. It.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like concerned with them. To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come up. No, no, why you didn't come up? When I Cash. I was under the weather yesterday. I didn't come up this morning. I was doing something, fam. This morning I was doing something. That's why I didn't come up. It's no disrespect, fam. The reason I didn't come up the
Mm-hmm.
last 2 days, I was under the weather. I wasn't really, capable of coming up like that, fam. With no disrespect to you, Cash. But I was
You
doing something
definitely
this
can hear
morning.
it.
Yeah,
You can
I'm
hear it.
getting over the cold. Thank you. I'm getting over the cold now. It was kind of bad the day before, worse
Mm-hmm.
the day before, so we're much better. But I'm worried about big shooting. I don't in city port. I don't
Mm-hmm.
get the pushback from them. I don't understand it. I don't. Eric speak, I get it. I can easily tear him apart. But it's hard for me to get at city port when you do research. Big shooting,
Maybe
they
they
do
bored.
research,
You
man.
think they bored?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure this shit out with them, man. I don't get it, man. And it bugs me, man.
Yeah,
It do.
if they not Asians, they bored.
It bugs me, man. Cause listen, I do the simple thing, right? Simple, easy to understand. Life started in
Mm-hmm.
Africa. People left Africa and probably the whole planet. The first
Mm-hmm.
people in America
Right.
was African. It's
Right.
simple. It wasn't Mongolian. It wasn't the red man. It wasn't.
That's
It
right.
was
None of that.
African. And their culture changed over time. And they
That's a
people
fact.
got smaller. But when you look at the
I
oil
said
map,
that. I
huh?
said that to the Chinese dude. I said, or the Korean guy, right? I said, man, like, bro, like like you talking about biology. I get it, but when the ethnography is the study of the culture and the people. You feel me? And
Yeah,
when you get, yeah, so it's like he kept saying we not this and we not
I know.
that,
I
and
can feel
people,
it. Yeah.
it's crazy,
I'm
bro.
not, and all that people lost their melanin. You got black people in Alaska, they're not losing their melanin. So I'm not really blind. I can easily debunk him. Like I say, what makes him a thing? But my thing is, when you look at the oil map, I think AT or something, AT truck. When you look at the oil map, you can tell they have
Mm-hmm.
strong African features. You can tell
Yeah,
they come from Africa. You can tell. They're
facts.
lighter. The
The
Aztecs,
Mokaya,
yeah, the Aztecs
the
don't got strong African
no,
features. They don't.
the Aztec had look, they had African slaves.
Now,
People,
I'm not gonna get into that part.
Aztecs.
I'm not gonna get into that part.
Yes.
No, I'm not gonna get into
Mm-hmm.
that part right there. But I'm saying, but when you look at the Aztec, they
Mm-hmm.
feature wasn't strong like the Aztecs feature.
That's a
Yeah,
fact.
that's what I'm saying. Like you could tell that the Aztec was straight African, but the Olmec was straight African, and the Aztec was definitely African descent, but they had sickle cell.
Facts.
That's an
Facts, God.
African disease right
Talk
there.
about it.
That's not
You
common.
cold. You
I'm not.
cold.
I'm not understanding the 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 com- the complex of this coming from people like
Yeah.
Big Shooting and them. I don't the
Mm-hmm.
death squad. I don't understand it. I don't. It mind baffling.
Right.
It really is, man. Cause we are indigenous. I'm not taking nobody um um erasing nobody, coach. I'm putting the facts on the table. If you could prove to me the Mongolians was here first, then I would say the Mongolians were here first. If you could prove to me the red man was here first, then I would say the red man was here first. But you have no evidence
Yep.
to back that up. I even show you
Facts.
Benjamin
Oh.
Franklin
Mm-hmm.
autobiography. He
Oh.
described on his
Oh.
page that the people in America was black, tawny, swanny. I think he said the word Negro, all black.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning we say tawny and swanny, Meaning you had some that look like Wesley Snipes and some that look like me. I wasn't
Yeah.
that dark. They would call me
That's how
swarm.
Hapsadi.
That, that's what I'm saying. That's stupid.
Hapsadi.
But that make me black too at the end of the day, no matter how you look at it. I'm not understanding. Oh, my man Cashin of a question, Sam. My man Cashin of a question. I'm not understanding
Yeah.
I'm not understanding the pushback.
I see it.
I did not understand that from our people. To be honest, man. You know what I'm saying? That's the Mongols. I get it. It's a wrap for them. The 4+1 people, I get it. It's a wrap for them. The fake red man, I get it. It's a wrap for them. So it's just my people. I don't get it why we want to be on their team. But very cash, man.
Yo, what's good? What's good?
That's it.
Can you
Peace,
hear me?
peace, peace, God. Please don't call each other out your names. Don't do no bitches with the black woman. We don't do
No,
that.
we good here.
That's
No,
my
we
only
good.
rule. Let's roll.
Oh yeah, I don't allow that either, bro.
Yeah, no, cash, we
Uh,
good.
I don't allow that in my lives either. Uh, now I heard y'all talking about the real name. A lot of people don't want to never want to pay homage to the fact that we sitting in Turtle Island and
Facts.
our cable line is the original name. We always call ourselves African American though, not even realize who we calling ourselves. Even for the Africans over there, like even they still be calling themselves African.
I feel like so when we deal with when we get to playing with the euphemisms, the misnomers, the titles, the wordplay, we will never ascend. Actually, us with this particular black mindset, we don't argue that no more. We don't argue the letter J when it came in existence. We don't argue about the word black. We don't argue about whether we are Hebrews and Moors because separation leads to more separation. You know. Um, we know who we are. So yeah, so when we say black, melanated, African, it's only a particular type of people that is actually in that category, right? When we talk or when we kick it and when we come together, we all together right now.
But the,
But
but the word black,
we will find a way to separate. That's our problem.
no, like the word black.
Hey, I wanted to say hello and thanks for letting me up real quick.
Oh, for sure, God.
SMG, I saw you in the other live, man, and I'm a knowledge hound, and so I wanted to give you an article, and I don't know if any of y'all can read this article, but I think it'd be worth your while to look at this article by Clive Winters. Hold on, my dog's going nuts. Hold on one sec.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Dr. Paul Winter, great man, Dr. Clyde Winter, man.
Did
Yeah,
you? There is
yeah.
an article that I was reading when I saw you on, and I was like, I want to share this article with him. And the name of the article was "Where Were There Africans in America Before the Ice Age?" And at the end of the day, I didn't realize that there were a couple of studies, and I haven't gone deeper into it yet. You know what I mean? But I thought that might if you looked into that article, he cites particular sources. He also cites the opposition to it, but he also uses archaeological discoveries that I don't know on their old debunking thing or whatever, but that you might find valuable. So I just wanted to
Right.
drop that off for you real quick.
Yeah, let me download that.
He's a wild. Every speak try to use Dr. Clyde Winter. He try to use, and I'm like, fam, he go against what you saying, Earl Speak. That's the thing. He make no sense. That's what I'm saying. He make no sense. But Dr. Clyde Winter would tell you that life started in Africa. He's not going to tell you Africa is America, America. You got no
Yeah,
evidence.
but see, my thing is that I'm kind of the opinion that you are with respects to long time ago when I first got on my journey. I looked up the ice ages, and before it became like hip on TikTok, I mean like 20 years, right? And so I saw that there was like where it was. cold and freezing everywhere else, there were like certain regions which were warm, you know,
Yeah. In
um,
Africa.
Yes.
Yes, in
free
Africa.
The,
from that. And
Yeah.
so with that understanding, I'm just
yeah,
like,
but see, that's what I was.
go ahead, I'm listening.
Yeah, I was trying to tell them about the because we had 20 ice ages. I told them about the Toba super volcano that caused one of those ice ages for 1,000 years, and I don't think they wasn't listening. Then I told them about they got to study thermal, those glacial thermal pockets
Right.
because you can survive in those areas that you're talking about, and they wasn't listening. And see, when I just looked up what you just talked about, I also was reading about the ancient Celts and the Black Vikings. And that's
Yeah,
when you
I
just
mean,
said Earth Speaks tries to, yeah, Earth Speaks tries to tie that information in there. Now watch this.
well, the saga, real
That
quick before
Tob,
you go in it, saga of Eric the Red, I believe it is, talks about a gentleman. I think his name was Thornall Gunderson, and he was a black Viking, and he rebelled against like the bringing of Christianity and everything else, and they brought him over here because he was familiar with parts unknown. You know what I mean? And so that's just one of those things. But Viking was only it was like an occupation. You know what I mean? Kind of like
that's
pirates.
my
You know what I
grandkids.
mean?
Go ahead, God, my fault.
No, you good. Vikings was not like a brand of people. It was more like a group of people who had several different makeups, kind of like pirates. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And that's all I got there. But go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Nah, I appreciate it. I wish they would have just let me talk. I was trying to answer every question. I was everywhere. I'm considered. They call me the conflation god, but that's because, my head injuries. I've been slipped 2 Mickeys, bro. It took me 8 years to get to where I'm at. So I don't be playing no games. I feel like I'm, at 41, I have no time to waste. So I do. I sit right here and I do a lot of this. This cross referencing. I buy the books. I watch the videos. I do all of that. It has to be done. You know.
Yeah, but my thing is, and I'm not gonna knock you, but what I started doing about that time is I started looking into a wise Moor told me once, it's not in what they say, it's in what they don't say, but they'll always lead you to the doorway. And so
That's right.
with that in
Oh, I like
mind,
that.
I started going against, like, I started looking for people who disagree. And then I
Yes.
was able to create connections based on the information they provided. And so that's what I found to be most valuable. Like in that live I just went into, you were talking about the Omex and you left before they let me up. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
they always say it's a hypothesis, you know what I mean? And that's cool. I don't have a problem with that because the first person who went in and tried to tie them to China was also a doctor making a hypothesis. So if one
Right.
person comes out and makes a hypothesis and then another person comes out and picks that hypothesis apart, you understand what I mean? Then that's the discourse, but you have to be able to tie stuff in. So what I did see and what I was explaining to them was a paper, a scholarly paper, which was written on a gentleman who said that there were Hindu influence as well as Chinese influences, and basically Pan American influences. And a lot of people, they don't like. There are so many groups. The Olmecs were right between I believe it was the Mayans and the Aztecs, if I'm not mistaken. And so they were in the middle. If you look down at the where each
Before,
of them had
well,
settled and
before,
whatnot. So it was a
before. So
huge trip.
Omak come from Mokaya. So their origin is Mokaya, Mokaya. And then after that, you're going to see that intermingling or that amalgamation of these African people, right, mixing in with this proto-Australoid, right, or what we would consider not proto-Australoid, but the Mongoloid.
Mhm.
Now
But
that's the
here's the thing,
Aztec
I'm
and
gonna
the
give you
Maya.
a note on that too. Those Aztecs, bro. Did you know that the during the Ottoman Empire that the Americas were a tributary vassal of the Ottoman Empire, the Moors.
I heard of it.
Okay, and there is a Ottomangian language, right, which was used by the I believe Montezuma's people, which would have been the Aztecs, if I'm not mistaken, but by Montezuma's people, which was Ottomangian. Now, if you look up Ottomangian, you can find out that it's a
Automangian.
derivative of
Automangian.
Ottomangian. It's a derivative of the old Turkish that was used in the courts and in matters of state. You see?
Okay.
And so when we look at it, and you'll hear a lot of the Moors talk about how, this was one of those regions, um, that gives some credibility to it historically. Now you have to dig to find it. And again, I'm connecting dots. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But
Yes.
at the end of the day, if Montezuma's headdress was first a Moorish headdress and he spoke Ottomangian, you have, or at least wrote in Ottomangian, then you have some strong comparisons.
Right.
I
Right.
didn't mean to run everybody off your live, big dog.
No, it's all. It's all good. That was my first time having. I think 3 or 4 people up. I didn't even know how to work it till y'all asked. Yeah, it's all good. Like the original people of California, right? They call these people black natives, or they'll call them the original Americans, you know. And these would be like the Punic skull of Ecuador, right? And then they say until 1975, the most conclusive evidence of the prehistoric black migration was the Punin skull discovered in a small village in the Andean region of Ecuador, accompanied by the remains of an Andean horse, known to have been extinct for over 10,000 years. Runoko Rashidi calls it the most well-documented single piece of evidence for the early presence of Australoids in the prehistoric Americas during the period of Gladwin's writing. Indeed, the skull was heralded by the American Museum of Natural History of New York as the earliest evidence of humans in the Americas. At the same time, it was evidence of Australoid humans in America. It says the Clean of English anatomist Sir Arthur Keith, noting the similarities between the skull and those of indigenous Australians, declared the discovery at Punin does compel us to look in the possibility of clandestine invasion of America by an Australoid people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
So.
that's so, whether it's invasion or otherwise, you know what I mean? Everybody's always like conflict. That's the first thing they go to. But I don't understand sometimes why it feels like at the outset, and I've been through this with my family because I've got a very educated family. You know what I mean? I'm the black sheep of them all. But I don't understand why people will cut things off at a certain point, because if we're looking at an ice age and we're looking at the possibility of people being here during that ice age, you can
Yes.
find a lot of sources on these things.
Yes.
See what I mean?
Yes.
But somehow when we discuss it in open forum, um, people start their mental timeline at a particular spot and refuse to go beyond that, if that makes any sense.
Makes a lot of sense because there's an agenda being pushed, right? The TV's doing what we call agitated propaganda, right? So we know that there was a major whitewashing, right? We know
Well,
that to
there
be
was
what.
the guy that said, anything that doesn't appear to be established from the Native Americans will be discredited, and you know what I mean, not
Oh, we.
recognized.
Right. Right. And that's the issue. Like these two books, they give you a the 200 in a 200,000 year period, right? This is considered a quick synopsis of we don't care what type of sciences they were, you know, and but they're going to be African contributions. This is a history that the people don't know about. You're not going
I'm
to Google
familiar.
this. Wikipedia just shut me out because I don't have visuals. So my friend and a couple people told me I need to update my information because of all these goddamn books. So I've been like taking pictures but Wikipedia literally, like, I don't know what the fuck they did. I tried to download a something that get past whatever the fuck with their, I don't know how they did that, but they literally just took a year and a half of my information and just blocked me out. I had to go buy this tablet that you see on the screen now, right, and start all over again.
Mm.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that
Yep.
much is true.
Yep. Because I
But
was trying
man,
to attack. I wanted to attack visually. Because I see what they doing on TikTok, you know, Instagram and YouTube. They're using all these visuals, and the people are believing that. It's because it's a better algorithm. People don't got time to sit and listen to you read. So I wanted to show the pictures, and they fucked my whole thing up, man.
right, right.
Yeah, yeah. It's all good.
Well, we are alive in amazing times, but you definitely have to have your stuff together. You know what I mean?
That's right.
For sure, for sure. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I just wanted to give you that. You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
got
know
it.
you know who Clyde Winters is, but me personally, I'm gonna go in and read a little more into it and
Yeah.
research. You know, Hubble et al. And the other ones because
All right.
you know, just to see the validity of the sources, you know what I mean,
Right.
and continue to formulate my own opinions. But you know, there were literally like Grenada, Panama, you know, even
Yes.
in Mexico, stories of from the Spanish who came over, stories from those people who were exploring this part of the world, who said that they literally saw groups of people. You understand what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
which they refer to as Africans, and this doesn't go from like uh, Van Sertima. This is, you know, Columbus's son Ferdinand or Fernando or whatever. You know what I mean? Speaking about the people he saw in Granada, speaking about, you know, the people from, you know, Haiti. You know, I can't
Yep.
understand why people seem to think that this place is an isolated thing, and you got people getting over here from Cuba on tires. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
You
Fact.
know,
I watched the
so
African take a bow. I watched the African chop a tree down, bro. Chop the
mhm,
tree down, shave it, cut it out, jump in the thing, and I said, yo.
the longboats. Now you're talking
Yeah, the
about the
longboat. Yep.
longboats. Yep.
I said that shit was amazing.
There was a whole story. There's a whole movie out about that. That's one of the first gems that one
Yeah.
of my teachers gave me. He was like, "You need to
Yeah.
watch that movie. Watch the Longboats." You know what I mean?
Oh, I gotta look that up. Hold on. Let me look that up. Hold on.
Yep.
That's deep. Yeah, man, we had boats. We was, and see, that's another thing about the Ice Age. And they came before Columbus. Ivan, wait, oh shit, I might be mixing books. It might be Michael Bradley's Iceman's Inheritance, but in one shit, I don't know. It's one of them, but he says that they lost the knowledge of seafaring. See, when you empathetic, and this is another thing world history does. When you're empathetic, you can actually become the people and put your
Hmm.
feet in their shoes, and you can actually see like, damn, how would you act from lacking 7-dihydrocholesterol? How would you act for thousands of years stuck behind the ice wall? You know,
Yeah.
lacking the nutritious and the elements that you need to survive, and you're going to become a savage. Your
Exactly.
amygdala, right? Your pineal gland, right? That locus ceruleus that secretes that beautiful black melanin. That shit is going to become nothing. And once you're empathetic, you will look at white people and you will say, damn, y'all really babies just throwing a tantrum that want your mother and your dad. I'm just keeping it real to
Yeah.
everybody on the planet because that's what's wrong with them. When we talk about mental disorders, what do you think it starts? You don't see African people murdering each other, because they're in the sunshine. No, they're doing that by colonization. Their mentality, their minds are messed up and
Well, historically,
colonized.
historically, we did have our own problems. I don't think
Of
that violence
course,
is due
of
to anything,
course.
but you hit on a very important point because when there's a movie called like The History of Man back a few years ago, or the History of Man. And there was something I noticed because it was talking man, 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 and then it switched to mankind. You see what I mean? And then from that
Yes,
point, it's a real subtle change. But in the scripting and the wording, they never went back to man. If I remember correctly, it all
facts.
became mankind. And so, with that understanding, they talked about basically how people had come out and started. Basically taking other people's stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah,
Because of their shortage of food, their shortage of certain things
yes,
like that.
that is
You know,
facts.
but at
That
the
is
end of the day,
evidence.
yeah, that's it is. I mean, that's like I said, it was a documentary. Um, but at the same time, I want to take you back to the Ottoman Empire real quick because during the Ottoman Empire, it talks specifically about the well, that's where, like, the story of the wild men, where you see that German tapestry or the tapestry that has the Moors in the tower,
Yeah, real quick, what's the name of that movie again?
the longboats.
The Longboats. Okay, go ahead. I hear you.
Um, and then, but during the Ottoman Empire, there were those conflicts based on some of them based on religion, which was beginning to shape the land and shape the things that were going on in that region.
Uh
Um,
huh.
and so there's just so much, man, that like when you really tie it in, you see it's like you said, the history of the world history. You know what I mean? And in America, we are poorly versed in world history. It's just a
Facts.
statement of fact. It's sad, but it's true. you know and we're
That is a
working
fact.
we're working backwards at it most times, from our place
Purposely.
of understanding, you know as opposed to looking at the big picture and tying in, you know, not only human evolution, right, but the fallibility of man and science, if that makes any
Yes.
sense. Because everybody talks
Yes.
about this carbon dating, but carbon dating is something that's under attack and has been for some time. You know what I mean?
And you know why? Do we all know why? Carbon is the energy that can't be created nor destroyed because of its mass.
And that's what they were saying with respects to the mass. That's where the
Yeah.
discrepancy, I believe, began to come in.
Yeah.
And I can't say it specifically, but you know.
Yeah.
And
I
so
know what you're
all
talking
of
about.
these sciences and everything that we propose to know beyond the shadow of a doubt, we really don't. And so that's the funniest thing to me is when somebody will throw up, it's a hypothesis or whatever.
Right.
You can literally explain to them that, in a heartbeat, all science is hypothesis, and it's a matter of things that happen regularly and information that is gained as we continue,
Right.
upon our knowledge. So you can't
Right.
just specter out everything. Even
That's a
some of the
fact.
stuff that they disprove actually, or call themselves debunking or talk about, still fits in to the total picture, total story. You know,
Right.
but
So
it is what it is.
So that part that you said that about we know now that which we know, like atoms, we know that atoms are what minute particles with potential for vast energy, right? We
Hmm.
can't even see them shits,
Right.
you know, but we know that they are there, like things that
Hmm.
are invisible. We would consider that to be quantum,
Yeah.
or I think it's micro, yeah, micro, and what's the other one? Subjective, or the state of our men. or the state of 360 degrees roundabout, which is black dot black seed, which is a better understanding of that is African origins of biological psychiatry by Dr. Richard King, talking about that black dot black seed, which is carbon, right, which is the base or the foundation of what melanin is, and this is why it's under attack,
Mhm.
you know,
Well
because they
understood.
know what it is. Yeah, they know what it is. They know that melanin serves as a semiconductor, right? They'll say semi, but they really want to say superconductor of energy, right? Because black people are literally walking black holes because we are the only ones that absorb this particular type of energy on every level, whether it be wavelengths, particles, it doesn't matter,
It's funny
right?
that you
Like,
mentioned that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm listening.
no, go ahead, God. Go
It's
ahead.
just funny that you have mentioned that because was listening to something on Master Key Society. They've got like a lot of books or whatnot that I get into because it's about hermetics and it's about that ancient sacred knowledge. And these people have been writing these books for a long time. But what the
Yeah.
man said was that you have to realize that in your thought, which is where it all springs from. Um, Imagine for a moment being able to really realize that, the chair you're sitting on is simply, a bunch of those particles,
Man.
with a particular vibration. You understand?
Yes.
And it's actually nothing there. You know what I mean? And to be able to function in that realm is what allows us our either greater or limited abilities to manifest. You see what I mean? And so when we look at things, we can't necessarily say, and it's funny you use that 360 because you have to be pushing out 100% in all the directions so your sphere doesn't collapse. If you're not pushing out, I mean, if you think about the sacred geometry flower and everything else, you know what I mean? Those
Yeah.
lines explode out to that next point in time. It
That's
doesn't,
right.
at 100%, whether the line is
That's
2
right.
inches from point A to point B, whether the line is a mile from point A to point B, it extends that entire distance from point to
Facts.
point to point. And you can't keep your sphere strong if you're not at 100% in that 360-degree revolution. You see what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
like a gyroscope almost.
So with that perfect analogy, going back to being empathetic to the lack of vitamin D, 7-dehydrocholesterol or 7-hydrocholesterol. How would you how do you feel good in a colder climate? Right, where you're not getting the nutritious value that you need to be what we call happy, which is
Healthy.
melanin, right? I'm talking about
Right?
serotonin.
Yeah,
That's
I understand.
melanin for
Yeah.
the day. You open the
You're saying
blinds.
serotonin is, I don't think serotonin is melanin.
Yeah, it's a harmonial balance. We use different terminologies for dealing with the melanin. It's really just melanin.
Well,
That melanin controls your, that is your serious
then what is
balance.
cortisol and what is dopamine?
So these are also what they consider melanin. Let me get that for you.
Hey, big dog, I got probably 2-3 minutes and then I got to
Yeah, no
jump in this
problem.
ride and get to work. But we'll be back at it. I followed you.
Yeah, so let me read this real quick. The
Uh
locust
huh.
ceruleus is black because it contains large amounts of melanin, the same chemical that produces skin color. Its cells provide the principal noradrenergic nerve supply to many areas of the brain, cerebral cortex, hippocampus, right? Activating cingulate, gyrus, amygdala areas that make up the major portions of the limbic cortex. The locus ceruleus also supplies parts of the nephrine found in other brain areas such as the hypothalamus, the thalamus, and the habenula, right? It's the deep pineal, the cerebellum, your lower brainstem, and spinal cord. Importantly, the locus ceruleus or coeruleus affects memory as one would expect because melanin affects memory. The locus ceruleus is normally involved in the temporal delineation of the susceptibility period of newly formed memory.
Right.
Right? A malfunction of the locus ceruleus can result in a profound extinction of the normal susceptibility period of newly formed memory. Amnesia, additional evidence of the role of the locus ceruleus as a doorway to the collective unconsciousness. That's the part you're talking about, right? Is present in the biological evidence that the locus ceruleus is the uppermost point in an all black neuromelanin nerve tract that runs from the brainstem into the spinal cord, right? Mapped the brain stem and found 12 brain cells, Osinoski, right, containing pigmented melanin cells. These are the substantia nigra or nigra, right, with its associated nucleus Burchardus, pigmentosus, and nucleus paranigralius. The other 9 nuclei are either part of a neuromelanin column or adjacent to the neuromelanin column.
Okay.
So, your locus ceruleus is more important than your epiphysis cerebri, which is your pineal gland.
Because it supplies the juice.
Yes, everything that you were talking about that exploding from that center point out at 100, you have to have that charge. You have to, in order to operate and function. What you said was healthy.
Right. Understood.
Yes, this
Understood.
is mental disorders.
Well,
You know, when
it's
you
been
look
a
at
pleasure,
melanin, think
man.
of it as, yeah, you too, right?
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can finish up. I got a couple more, maybe a minute.
Oh, simply put, melanin with black people and melanin with other people. We categorize it with 4, 3, 2, and 1. Black people, we operate with the 4 as with the Africans. The Africans, theirs is a 4, 4. Ours is a 4 and a 3. Right? When you look at Caucasian people, they are like 1 and 2. When you look at Asian people, they are like 3 and 2. You know, so think of it as butter, or let's do a knot, a string. Our melanin is straight across. When you see people with freckles, you see people that are with lighter skin. It doesn't mean that they have less melanin on the inside, right? But we obviously on the outside. So let's tie that knot in a couple knots and a couple more knots. But when you deal with Caucasians, tied at the beginning point, and that's it. There's no more melanin production for the melanocytes that carry it to the melanosomes, which is the pockets of melanin that give us the pigmentation. So just think of it like that, as in a knot or a
Well,
long string.
here's the thing. When I was studying on melanin some time ago, there are 2 distinct different types contained
Yes.
within, and so one being you and one
Theo.
being fail, right?
That's right.
Okay, and so that makeup are the knots that you're talking about. The makeup between the 2 different types.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yep, I understand, brother. I overstand. But it's been a good journey, man. I can't even complain, and just the ability to, and I don't really see it as it's teaching, that's really all it is to me. It's just teaching, and sometimes, you have students who are willing to learn, and sometimes something you said was, trying to meet y'all where you are, which is, I know why they pushed back, the way that they did. But when I went in, I simply went back because you said, like, Indus means black, right? And at that point in time, I came in with reference to that point, and then explained to them that word Hindu did in fact mean black, with respect to a
Yes.
a congressman's whatever their country, but then tied into the fact that one of the theories was that the Olmecs, because of their certain postures, characteristics, and writings, had Hindu influence and Chinese influence, or what we, you and I would refer to as
Powerful.
Asiatic, right?
That's powerful.
Eurasian
Yeah.
Asia,
Yeah.
right? And we're
That's
looking at the
right.
first dynasties of China. You see what I mean? And so inevitably, and then gave him a, you know, an article, and when I link back up with you, if all things considered, you know, I'll link back up with you, and we will maybe read through this article that I found with respects to another doctor who
Right.
was disproving a Chinese doctor, saying that there were more influences within the Olmec culture. Now, what we would say, right, is that during the time frame, quite possibly the Olmec culture spread out because they were a part of a larger group that eventually shrank and died potentially. Um, However, uh, these influences already indicate that they were not an isolated group. Do you see what I mean? That they had interactions with other cultures prior to their arrival here in the Americas, so to speak. Um, yeah, prior to their arrival here in the Americas, based on popular conception. So once you tie that in, you understand, then
Yes.
there are certain things that just can't be refuted. Do you see? Um,
Fa-
there's
Big
certain
facts.
things that can't be debated, you know, and so that's where I say when I meet people where they are, and it's not that I disagree with any of them, etc. But before I was on my way out, and the guy was trying to say something about always going back to the, you know, perceptions and this, that, and the other. And I was like, what I need you to understand is that when I went into my DNA, I went a little deeper, and I went into my alleles,
Right.
and I saw where the loci for those alleles were, and the group of people that created that mutation within my DNA strand. And that's when I explained that you can't argue with that, right? And that's
Facts.
when I explained to him, you know, that it was Amerindian, Ameri, Indian, right? That's South America, right? It
Right.
was also oh, I laid this one on him because they were talking about Cheddar Man and this, that, and the other. I was like, it's also French Paleolithic farmer, which means, right, somewhere in there, I'm of those dark skinned, blue eyes, mutated European people, which could
Right.
explain why my grandparents went had them blue eyes, why my cousin Shonda has those blue eyes. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and so, and then I explained to them that I was Moor. And of course, he wants to go into the Moor. I was like, I already know it's a group of people. But at the end of the day, that region was the Songhai Empire, which is Ghani, Mala, Timbuktu. You see, that
Facts.
whole conglomerate region, which go comprise such greats as Mansa Musa and the gentleman who supposedly sent 300 ships over to this country. Do you see what I'm saying?
Man, I
And
just
so
learned that, bro.
ultimately,
I learned that
ultimately,
yesterday.
like,
I
nice.
did not know that.
Ultimately, 10 years from now, right? 10, 20 years from now, it may come out that, you know, he actually made it over here, and that's a part of my bloodline. So it didn't get here from slavery. It actually got here because, you know what I mean? My folks was down there bumping around with the American Indians, like,
Right.
for a few thousand years before, you know, all the
That's
other stuff
heavy.
happened,
That is heavy.
you know? And so that's where I look at all of it together, because this is a self-knowledge quest. You see what I mean? And
Facts.
so listening to people who disagree allows me to see two things. It allows me to see how they are built, their minds, you know what I mean, what their opinions and beliefs are, but it also allows me to see information that I might be able to use to further discover where I'm going. I'm not I'm not rooted, you know what I mean, in a belief,
Yes.
so to speak. That's the worst thing I think that I can do, is to root myself in a belief that is unwilling to adapt, to change, to grow.
Facts.
So
Facts.
That's that
And
business, SNG. I appreciate you, Big Dog.
no, I appreciate you, God, for real.
Already, already. So be encouraged, man. And you know, if it ain't your vibe, you ain't, man. You ain't got to push your stuff off on nobody. You know what I mean? You
Oh,
ain't. Your people gonna
yeah,
find you. You know, the
bro.
people who
Listen,
are willing to listen, learn, and add things of value, they're gonna
what's
find you.
crazy? What's crazy is I'm not fishing for more followers, but as soon as I came to turn my live on, I had to go back and follow everybody to follow me from that live.
Understood.
You know,
I already know
because
because in
I got a, like this book, man. I got a book out of the 1800s, and it talks about, the Arabians being Cushites. It talks about two Ethiopias, one of those Ethiopians, right, being Egypt, another Ethiopia being where, which is heavy,
I
India,
know. Hmm.
which you see on the screen.
I
Now,
already know.
that ain't even. These are two different books because I wanted to show people with Avatar who they're talking about. That's what they're talking about in the movie. It's
Right.
crazy. I
Right.
love it.
And
I love
so
this shit.
another hang up of our people too is we automatically will be like black, 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 and that's the thing that they want to kind of use to tear everything down. So if I
Facts.
speak, you understand, I will say, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily black or whatever, but I like to call out the nationality of those people and then to
Yes.
indicate they, you know, were melanated people. You see what I'm
Yes.
saying? And from that, and that's the thing that really got me more than anything, because it was like they wanted to fast forward beyond a particular time. So like saying the phenotype changed or the DNA changed and this, that, yes, I'm not saying it didn't change, but I'm saying that the root, the progenitor of that was this thing. Do you see what I mean?
Facts.
You know, that this, you have to, nothing exists in a vacuum. And if nothing exists in a vacuum, then, you know, coming in contact with certain things, right? I mean, all through the Bible, it talks about people taking wives from other people, right? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You
And
know,
it's
and
okay.
going down and the Amorites and the Dezites and the Hishtites and the Hittites and the, you know what I mean? Going and doing war and taking the women and having a wife and marrying, you know, into bloodlines and families, right? So it's
Yeah.
pretty logical that if there is a ruling class in any place and it comes in contact with another group of people, that there will be some mixing somewhere along the line, right?
Yes.
You see what I mean? And so
Always
that's
happen.
where the thing that throws me off more than anything is because I'm inclusive like that, right? Knowing that there's nothing pure, so to speak, anymore. You know what I mean? I don't care if you come straight from Africa and you got two tribes in you. That's two tribes. That's not one. You see?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? And so
Right. Right.
that's just what it is, you know? And so that's where it's at, man. And I do believe it's somewhere along the line, just like I have that French Paleolithic mutation, you know what I'm saying? That there are some aspects of individuals who uh, still retain some of those mutations from the Olmecs, from the Philistines, from whoever it might be. You know, I
I thought.
truly
I thought.
believe that.
Hey, look. You see my screen?
Yeah, I do.
So look, my grandmother, this is her favorite beer. It's crazy how we arrive at knowledge, right? So
Hmm.
I just buried my grandmother Saturday. She was 85 years old, and she had acute kidney failure, which is basically, kidney failure.
Yeah, yeah.
Her favorite beer was this beer right here called Pep's Blue Ribbon.
Right.
So when I now this is a very 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 good beer. I don't drink anymore, but this beer here, obviously, for someone that has been drinking it all their lives to die at 85, this is a good beer because it would take her 7 to 8 to 10 beers to get drunk. So this shit is like water, right?
Right.
What I found, because malt liquor, look at us when I don't know how many funerals you've been in, but we're definitely about the same age. We have been in a lot of funerals, and when you see younger people die or in their 40s and 50s, they don't look the same,
No, they
right?
don't.
Especially those that died of something, you know, drugs, liquor, and shit like that, and malt liquor. This isn't a
Hmm.
malt liquor. Now, as you can see on the screen, you see the goat.
Yeah.
Now, the goat,
Uh,
this is Jewish. The
bottom
reason
left.
I looked it up because
And
Paps,
the
when you
yeah.
look up,
Yep.
When you look up paps, you're going to see in Revelations 1:14 through, I forget, but it explains Jesus and how he looks, and it talks about the, like the fringes to remember and the paps. Now, this is how we know that it's talking about Jesus being the GOAT. Now, this shit is deep because that is dealing with the mountain goat, which is Jesus, right? Who is the lamb, right? Which is actually dealing with the planet Venus when you look up Lucifer. Now, I found all of this because I was looking up the beer. And when I looked up the beer and I put the
Hmm.
word Paps in there, it pulled up that scripture which said, damn, Jesus is the GOAT. Now, I got another book back here. I was already on this
We don't
path, but
even
it
want
just
to.
fucked me up to see that.
I'm about to add something to it
Yeah.
for you, but go ahead.
Yeah. It says this boat,
It
this
gets
book right
deep,
here is
man. You gotta.
666. So, yeah. The Baphomet Christ, the Holy
Hmm.
Goat. This book right here.
Man, look. If when you really look up Yahwehism and like where that stuff came from, bro, it'll blow
Hmm.
your mind. But right now my ride just got here, so
For
I'm gonna
sure.
jump in and be about this business. Oh, you got your watch and stuff? No, not yet. Yeah, I get it. Well, I'll tell
Hmm.
you this real quick because I gotta grab my gear real quick. But
Oh, yeah, do that.
man, there is a Yaldabaoth. Have you ever heard of Yaldabaoth?
Absolutely.
Okay, in Sophia.
Absolutely.
Okay. And how he was trying to basically, he was given those powers and everything he was creating was kind of to kind of see the face of his father again, more or less.
Hmm.
Okay. And so the comparisons are uncanny. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Here's another comparison. Uh, when you look up, what is it that I'm trying to reference right now? The oh, Solomon, 72 demons. You familiar?
Yeah. Go,
Okay.
72 Demon Goetia. Hmm.
Okay, so one of those demons, the one that was the most rebellious towards Solomon, right? He was like, "Why should I listen to
Hmm.
you? You're a man." He said, "I am the offspring of an angel and a woman."
Mm.
So, it's
It's
just one of
stupid.
those things where is I am bound and determined not to worship anything that is going to take away from my potentials to study and show myself approved. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
And that's the key. So I'm on
Absolutely.
that. And that's why I went ahead and sat with you for a moment because um, I didn't want you to feel alone, big dog. That's all.
Oh,
You
yeah. I
understand?
appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah.
Already.
Thank you, man.
I'll get at you later, SMG. Be well.
For sure, God. Peace.
Peace.
That's what I'm talking about. It's the character. Your character tells me everything about you. That's what we like, right? That's a good brother. So what you're seeing on the screen, this comes out of George G.M. James' Stolen Legacy. All right. Very good read. They killed him right after he made this book. Yeah. That's how deep this is. This ain't what you think. So look, the soul has 9 parts whose unity is so complete that even the Ren, the name, is an essential attribute since without it, it cannot exist. So your name means everything. right? You see my name, Ru. It means soul, right? Or spirit, right? You can see the Ka, which is an abstract personality of the man to whom it belongs, possessing the form and attributes of a man, with power of locomotion, omnipresence, and ability to receive. So basically, these are the 9 parts of the human soul, right? Which you can also find in the Metal Nature, Volume 1. All right. Then it goes into the breakdown of what these things are. I haven't put that on there. I just want to, I'm practicing right now, people. All right. Yeah, okay. Because I had a hand, you know, as this shit come out of books, it almost looked like the Google shit. You feel me? All right, they go to Mephite theology. All right, that's in there too. All right, let me see what else I want to load up on. Go to Bus of Socrates. Yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy this. This is looking pretty fun. I think I like it. I like it a lot. Oh, this is important. Excuse me. Yeah, well, the Genesis, right? The Genesis of Greek Enlightenment. I don't know if y'all reading that. Your ego is ridiculous. I'm reading your comments. Your ego ridiculous. You have no clue. I don't just fight off freestyle. Yep. About to be loading this thing up. Y'all see that? The worship of Ham or the sun, as it was, right? The most ancient. Yeah. This book come from the 1800s. This heavy read. Which one is, what is this? This is, what is this? This was 70 years, 8 or 9 months, the deluge of the Chaldeans. Right? Okay. So, what you're looking at on the screen now, this is this is dealing with the first solely lunar cycle. All right, was thought to consist of 666 years. That makes the number reprobate. Now, this is how I found why they use the 666, right? This is ancient Etruscan cosmogony. This is where they get the creation story from, or the in the book of Revelations, right? That story comes from these black Italians, right? The original black Italians, these Etruscans. This is where it's come from and what it's talking about. As you go further down and you see the 666 years, is because the number, right, as you can see, it says 66 years to a degree give 23,760 to a great year, which would have been either 2 less, right, divided by 12. And right, they also use fractions, which made the number what they call reprobate, right, or reprobate, right, which is 666, which is erroneous. And the reason they say that it's erroneous is because it doesn't divide evenly, right? So there's the 666. They're using it right now, right? When you see them throwing it up, it's only because it represents both lunar and your solar. Okay, so now you will have both emerging, right? And this is also why they're trying to create what we know is emerging Christianity and Islam. Is the solar eclipse. When you merge the two, you have what they're trying to create now is that one world religion, which would be Chrislam, which is the Hebrew shit they doing all over again, which is Christianity all over again. Because these are still the Abrahamic religions, but they're going to compress them into one. That is also dealing with the eclipse, which is Jesus, right? And marrying the sun, marrying the moon, which is sin. This is why when the eclipse come together, Jesus takes on sin. He becomes sin because they become one. Because now you're merging the masculine and the feminine energy, and you're putting it together, it's becoming one. But to make that, make it tangible, that's an astrological observance, of dealing with the sun, moon, and the stars. And that is the also the number 6 and the number 7 coming together, because the 6 represent man and the 7 represents the woman, right? And so you're going to get the 7-point start and the 6-point start in emergence, right? Then you're going to have that knowledge of self all over again in doubleage, and then it would be wise for you to apply that knowledge, right? So you can get the understanding all over again, right? And that is what reproduction is, right? That is the redo thing, you know. But once again, at 666, let me find that for y'all, so y'all can know exactly what the fuck they doing. All right, here it go. All right. It says that, again, Voney says, it is moreover worthy of remark that the Egyptians never admitted or recognized in their chronology the deluge of the Chaldeans in the sense in which we understand it. And this, no doubt, because among the Chaldeans themselves, it was only an allegorical manner of representing the presence of Aquarius and the winter solstitial point, which presence really took place at the epoch, which means the fixed point, when the vernal equinoctial point was in Taurus. This carries us back to the 31st or 32nd century before our era. That is precisely to the dates laid down by the Indians and the Jews. The observation respecting the Hindu period of 3100 years before Christ is striking. What he means by the Jews, I do not understand. Besides the neuros of 600 years and the great neurosis of 608 years, which were both sacred numbers. The ancients had also 2 other remarkable and sacred numbers, 650 and 666. Sir Numbers Jones, I have before observed, has stated that the Hindus at a very early period must have believed that the precessional year consisted of 24,000 years. They computed this notion, the precession of the equinox, to be at the rate of 54 degrees a year, so that their Annus Magnus, or the times in which the stars complete an entire revolution, was 24,000 years. You see the 6. I will now try to show how the above named sacred numbers arose. I suppose that at first the solely lunar cycle was thought to consist of 666 years, and the great year caused by the precession of equinoxes of 24,000 years. Nothing can be more awkward and intractable than these numbers. 66 years to a degree give 23,760 to the great year, which are too few. And 67 years to a degree give 24,120 to the great year, which are too many to complete a period without fractions. Thus, 66 times 30 times 12 equals 23,760. 67 times 30 times 12 equals 24,120. Nor will 666 divide equally, for they leave a remainder of 24. The luni-solar period of 666 years was abandoned when its incorrectness was perceived. Right? It says about the same time it was thought to be discovered that the equinox did not precede 24,000 in a great year, but 65 years in a degree and 23,400 in a great year. The solar lunar period was thought to be 650 years. These two periods agree very well and together form a cycle of 36 times 650 equals 23,400. Then 650 became a sacred number. And we have it recorded in the number of the stones at Aubrey of this cycle. It says the Celtic Druids, right? We shall see the other sacred numbers of the cycles of India described. Right? Since I wrote that, Berger discovered that the sum total of the pillars discovered by Dr. Stuckley and confirmed by Sir right, R.C. Hoare and Aubrey, made exactly the sacred solar number 650. Now we about to see why you be seeing the presidents and all of these people throw this 666 up, right? There can therefore be little doubt that they adopted the number of the pillars for their temple to record this cycle. Because people don't know why they throwing up the Baphomet, the 666. What does the 66 has to do with your eye, and they throwing it up. Right? All these different neuroses form cycles with the then supposed great precessional year, except the number 666. The number for the reason already assigned will not form a cycle with 24,000. And it might be accounted this awkwardness that it became a reprobated number, the number of evil, of discord, of the beast in the revelation. So now you see why in the beast of the field was created in Genesis 1:25 first before Adam was created. Okay? This is why I'm literally laying the blueprint out so you can literally get the understanding of what that whole story is about. Because the beast of the field we notice to be a particular being when we watch movies like Mr. Glass, Split. What is the name of that last one? They put them all together. Anyway, the number for the reason already assigned will not form a... Okay. All right. The Soros, according to Berosus, consisted of 6,660 days. Cecilius Adondinus tells us that it was a period of 3,600 years. Okay? Now, they give a breakdown and all of that, then they show you the proof, right? They tell you what the Irish called it, right? It said, and many persons have derived Serapis from Sor or Soros Apis, meaning the entombed apis, Soros being the name of a stone coffin. All this tends to support my idea that this number of the beast was only an exploded or hierarchical cycle, the year of the apocalypse being calculated at only 360 days. I must maintain is a decisive proof of its extreme antiquity, right? Because remember, I told you that this shit is coming from black Italians known as the Etruscans, right? We're talking about Palestinians. We're talking about Minoans. We're talking about black Greeks, you right? We're talking about black Irish, right? Watch this. The cycle of 19, right? A common number of the Irish stone circles is called in the Irish language Bas Boudin. I confess I can read this no other way than Bud base or Buddhist foundation. It's being the foundation in one sense of the famous Neuros. The temple in Cornwall called Bishkawan, said to be a corruption of Bas Boudin, contains in its circle 19 stones. The meaning of this can be scarcely be doubted. It is curious to observe how often trifling circumstances keep occurring to support the claim of the Etruscans to be placed among the most ancient of the nations. The cycle of 666 is an example of this kind. Watch this. It said it is found with them as the following passage of Nubar proves, but its meaning was lost. You see that? It says its meaning was lost. So we're gonna enlighten you right now, right? Why they using it. It is right. It said it is found with them as the following passage of Nubar proves, but its meaning was lost in the year of Rome 666. The haruspices announced that the mundane day of the Etruscan nation was drawing to a close. This is the whole Revelation thing. This cycle has a strong tendency to prove what no one looks impartially at, the apocalypse of John, and the continual recurrence in it of the numbers contained in the ancient cycles can't doubt that it is an allegorical mythos and relates chiefly to them, though perhaps only emblematically, meaning the sun symbol. So when you see the 666, they're showing you their allegiance to this illumination, right? This is who they are when we talk about this Illuminati, right? Because they got this information from these ancient Italians or these blacks, right? It says the Etruscan cosmogony or universe origins is exactly that of one of the earlier Brahmin systems. It supposes that the author of the creation employed 12,000 years in his work. Now you see the correlation there. Like how do Brahmins and these black Italians, just the way I'm terming it, it sounds like how? Because they were black. All of these people were black. Now you got to remember this ain't no, this is somewhat the same area. These people concentrated in these areas are black. In the first 1,000, he made the planets and earth. In the second, the firmament. In the third, the sea and the waters. In the fourth, the sun and the moon. And also the stars. In the fifth, the living creatures. In the sixth, man. That after they were finished in the 6,000 years, there were to the last 6,000 years, then a new world was to begin. And the same things go over and over again. And is that not what we're going through right now? Is they not trying to implement this new world order, which they already did with Christopher Columbus? That was the point of the new world. Like in Rwanda, when he said, we can't even take you home with us because you're not even a nigga. It's the terminology, the euphemisms, the misnomers, the titles, right? It's the episodic breakdown of how they divided us, right? Think about it. So there's 666 years, right? Is a representation of an ancient Etruscan cosmogony, right? That these people are practicing. Just look at this shit, right? Krishna was born exactly at the end of 6,000 years, the termination of a neuros, from the time fixed by the Eusebius for the birth of Christ, in the Buddha cycle. So every time you see it, you want to see 6,000 years. You don't see Muhammad come into play after like 547, another 600 years after Christ. Shit like that. We're talking about allegorical, stories. Using fictional characters, and then we as a people we deify, right? And then we rewrite them into these mythos. But when you get a book like this from the 1800s, and you see all of this stuff coming out on the internet, right? And you can be like, yo, that ain't what that is, and you can tell where they changed the story because this shit you should have changed this book, because this shit old. These books out right here are hundreds of years of old. Like they are that old. From the 1800s? Millennia, man. You can't change this. You gotta go erase all of this shit. That what I got on the screen is from 1800 years, you know what I'm saying, from the 1800s. You ain't Googling that. And when you do, hopefully you can find it. That's probably why Wikipedia did that, because a lot of the shit I'm looking for is coming out of these books. They fucking block my, I can't get in it. I can't download it. It just keep blocking off the screen. So when I buy the new tablet, I can get it and do new shit. It's crazy, man. Because of some of the information, like all of this Black Buddha and all of this, the Watoba, I can't find a lot of that shit on Google. That shit crazy, man. I don't like that. Shut me out of that bitch, because I'm trying to upload images so I can show the people. Y'all need to see this shit. Look at that shit. This shit is deep. There's so much in these books. I think that was volume. Yeah, that's probably, I forget which one that is. I ain't even got into my PDFs. Because I didn't know about PDFs till like a year ago. Man, when I found that shit, I was happy as hell. Cause you gotta fucking, man, listen, bro. I'd rather do the books because you can see what you can highlight, and like memory, you can just go back to it, and you can. But with PDFs, you can't really do too much like that. You know, they good, but. Because when people be putting out them books, and that's because somebody uploaded them like these, from these types of books. The information is there. Alright? Like this on the screen, right? Now this is, oh shit. Alright, what page? What page is that? Now look at that. Now you see the Cain, Abel, the Seth, and all of that. You see the Brahma, the Vishnu. Now, this gonna give you, where the fuck is that at? Now that's talking about the original Noahs. Where is that at? It might be a volume 2. I might be tripping, hold on. Look, it said, look at this one. It said Jesus taught of the existence of an esoteric religion, being that he is the chief cornerstone, also being Lucifer and inseparable from him. That is in Isaiah, right? And this is Christian Mysteries. Man, there's some shit in here, boy. Where are ya? Yadu. I can't even find it. Oh, Genghis Khan. Got him in there. Oh, there we go. In the former case, his 3 emanations of children who partake of his nature and who discharge his pretended functions are Cain, Abel, and Seth. And the latter, they are Shem, Ham, and Japheth, or Japhet. Accordingly, Brahm himself is declared to be the same as Menu, and Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are identified with those 3 sons of Menu, who appear at the commencement of every Manvantara, whose proper human names are said by the Hindus to be Sama and Kama and Projapati. Now, as you can see, Sama would be Shem, right? Kama would be Hama or Ham, and Projapati is Japhet. That is deep. And see, this is why we need these types of books. Or your books is pseudo. No, motherfucker. The books is these books is older than me, you, your grandma, your great grandma, motherfucker. These books is that old. Who the hell? Who heard of Sama, Kama, and Prajapati? I hadn't heard them till I read this book. It changed everything. Now you tell that to a Christian or to a Hebrew Israelite, you know what they're gonna say? That's wrong. Well, these are black Indians, the real ones. Ain't that something? Oh man, there's so much Hebrew stuff in here, bro. They can't deal with this. I would destroy them with this book. I'm talking about, and this is why I don't debate. I don't have the patience to debate. I gotta learn where I'm going, and I can't learn if we arguing. And I'm trying to, no, I can't do it like that with a set timer and all. I can't do it. My mind, I don't get. I'm not getting. My heart not gonna let me do it. I'm not. I'm really uncomfortable. I don't feel right, and it's like an ego thing for me. Overall, what am I getting? What the people getting? It's literally gonna be a self-centered ego thing. Like, I'm straight. And what's going to end up, what's going to be the end goal? Other than a few people learning something, which is enough, but you can learn something by just pointing somebody in a direction. Because people are so emotional. Right? Black Buddha, Black Krishna. Right? Chapters and chapters. The different avatars of India without being struck with the apparent contradictions of one part to the other. Thus, Krishna is the sun, yet he is Apollo. He is Balarama, and yet Balakrishna. He is also Narayana, floating on the waters. Again, he is Vishnu himself, and an incarnation of Vishnu. He is also Parvati, the Indian Venus. In short, he is every incarnation. All this is precisely as it ought to be. If any theory be correct, he is an avatar or renewed incarnation in every case of the sun, or of that higher principle of which the sun is an emblem of that higher principle, which Moses adored when he fell down upon his feet to the blazing bush. The adoration of the solar fire as the emblem of the first great cause. That's Memphite theology right there, boy. As the master key to unlock every door, to lay open every mystery. Buddha may be seen in the Indian house with a glory round his head. This I consider of great consequence. The glory round the head of Jesus Christ is always descriptive of his character as an incarnation of that higher power of which the sun himself is the emblem or the manifestation. There were thousands of incarnations, but those were all portions of the divinity. Emanations, right? Which means coming from the sun. Perhaps they may be called in vulgar language from the divine mind, because we know in all your brilliance, right? Inspired, because the sun shines in all his brilliance, into a human being. But Krishna, as a Brahmin whole, was one of the three persons of their Trinity. Vishnu himself incarnated. He was the second person of their Trinity, become man. Inspired or inspirated might be said to be the same as incarnated. This was exactly the same as the Christian doctrine. We have many inspired persons, but Jesus is held to be God himself incarnated. The Logos, one of the three incarnated. To return to my subject, Buddha passed his infancy in innocent sports, and yet he is often described as an artificer, right? A skilled worker, that is. In his manhood, he had severe contests with wicked spirits, and finally he was put to death. We shall find by crucifixion, descended into hell, and reascended into heaven. The present sect of the Brahmin hold Buddha to have been a wicked impostor. Therefore, we need not expect them to say anything favorable of him, but I can entertain no doubt that he has the same kind of incarnations as Krishna, right? Buddhas versus Hindu, right? Brahmins versus Krishna, right? In my Celtic Druids, I have observed that the word Christian or Krishna of the Old Irish means the sun. Now, in the collector of Cosley, we find bud, but both fire, the sun, Bud Lach, the great fire of the Druids. We also find in Valency's ancient Irish history that they brought over from the east the worship of Budar or King Bud, who was the family of Sakasas or Banasaka. In the Hindu chronology, there's a Buddha Muni who descended in the family of Sakaya, and one of his titles was Arkabandhu, or kinsman of the sun. If my reader, I think, believe with me that there have been the Hindu Buddha in Ireland, it is impossible to be denied. How contemptible does it make our learned priest appear? I ain't even gonna read no more. I'm about to roll up. Bruh. That nigga said Buddha was in Ireland. This nigga just said Buddha was in Ireland, bro. This book coming out of 1800s. Who's gonna dispute that? Who went in the 1800s when this white man was writing these books? That like they hated him, but he was a made man. He was initiated, and his whole point was showing you, look, bro, all that shit y'all talking about in history about black people, I found something totally different. Now y'all gonna hate me for what I'm about to reveal, but there were two Ethiopians. The real Arabs are black. The real Chinese were black. The Hebrews, and that's just dealing with the people. We ain't talking about some of the contributions. These books thick as hell. You hear me? How thick is this book? 900, 800 pages. All right, and I just, bro, look. I want to find something heavy. I already did that one for y'all. All right. I did the Matrix. Did I do the Matrix in the womb? Yanni, Yahweh. I ain't even did that one. I need to do that one for y'all. But some of these bills be so strong. I gotta put them together again. Cause this is the practice on my screen, man. I'm learning how to do this, man. They just destroyed all my pictures, man. All this is screenshotted, but I was literally trying to use Wikipedia. Some stuff you can't find. It's so old. And of course they don't want you to know some of this shit. So this is what's coming next, right? I'll be doing, right, the outpouring of the Mashiach, right? Washing you from all the pollution, racism, hate, whitewashing, and revealing who you are, right? Be ye baptized in the Holy Spirit, right? Which is the primordial waters of Noon, right? So there's plenty that's in there that they haven't told you, right? So this energy, right, that we're calling the Aquarian age is what you see on the screen. It's Joel 2:28. It's the outpouring of the Mashiach. It's the Holy Spirit. Right? We know that spirit is air. It's a solid. That's the primordial waters of Noon. Right? That is dealing with being baptized all over again so you can rise into a new you. You know, that's what Moses' name means. It means to be saved by water. Okay? That's why Jesus said that, you know, any man that thirsts, you know, let him come to me to drink. I promise you that you will never thirst again. You know? These are allegories. Hidden symbolism using fictional characters. But see, this woman here on the screen is very powerful. That's a representation of every black woman on the earth. I hugged my mom at my grandmother's funeral, and, you know, I cried. I didn't want to see her because when I see her, I see my dad. And my dad passed so many years ago that it just hurt. So I didn't want to see her. So when I seen her at my grandma's funeral, I didn't cry with my grandmother. I cried with my mom. It just hurted. But my last words to her when I was standing up, as I was smiling, wiping my tears, I told her I just didn't know. I didn't know the value of the black woman, man. Do you know what my grandma and granddad, right? They're the reason for however big your family is, wherever city you stay in. They are extremely important. I'm a granddad right now. You know? And I think about the big families that we have state to state. And the black woman is a very, very, listen, man, she is literally the chief cornerstone that the builders have rejected. You know, we say that Christ is a consciousness. If this was a particular type of man, I am telling you, he said, when you go into the next city, right, you will see a man bearing a pitcher of water. And once we found out that was the Aquarian age, we knew then. When we go to Genesis 1:26, 27, 28, right, we see that God literally ended the world. He literally rested in the seventh day. How do you rest in the seventh day? If this seventh day is the black woman has 7 projections on her body. She was created at the seventh day. It only makes sense. As you can see on the screen, she has 2 legs, 2 breasts, 2 arms, and 1 head. Now that's what we know as 7 projections. Well, if it was a man, right, he would have 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head, and a 3rd leg. That is the 6-point star. The black woman represents the 7-point star. When you see the 5 percenters, or you see the circle 7, or you will hear in science that we are in the center of the universe. That is the 7 is, we're resting in the black woman. The 6, right? It may come before the 7, but the 7, right? The 6 is also resting in the 7 because you can't get to the 5. Right, without getting to the 4. The 4 represents ascension. You can see the numbers on the screen. Right, 12. Now, what is the number 12? 12 we know is completion. We know 12 is also understanding. We know 12 represents the child, right? But you see the 4s? The 4s represents ascension. 4 represents Buddha. 4 represent enlightenment. That's why we're in the age of Aquarius. Right? So let me breathe on you for a minute. Like the old heads say. Come here, young blood, let me breathe on you. You like, hold on, nigga. I don't want your breath on me, fam. But he talking about giving you some jewels and dropping some game on you. You feel me? So this Mashiach is actually, as you can see it in the word, Ma. You see the she and you see the ah. That is the feminine aspect in all this, in its totality. This washing that the people are experiencing and they're waking up, because they're coming out of being polluted. All right, they're coming out of being brainwashed, right, and all kind of things. People are waking up. You see what COVID did? COVID made people go work out, homeschool their kids, start their own businesses. People took them PPP loans because they had got knowledge of self. Because they had been sitting in the house. Just sitting. They say the idle mind is the devil's workshop. That is so, no, it's not. If you look at it religiously, no, it's not. But if you look at it in a sense, it's just that. Yeah, because you know that the devil, all right, will actually be, you know, your the dark side of self. And when you go sit within self, you find things out about yourself. You find things about your kids that you ain't, your spouse that you ain't been paying attention to, because now you got to deal with them every day. You ain't going off to work. This is the washing, right? Washing your ass out of that brainwashing shit that they done did to you. You know, that's what the time is. You're gonna be washed, whether you either gonna drown, because this is chaotic energy, right? It's either gonna destroy you or wash your ass clean. No different than fire, right? Fire is either gonna destroy you, burn your ass up, or purify you. And you're gonna come out beautiful. But that's what this water is doing. It's showing you who's who. You know? He said, I will pour, there'll come a time pour my spirit upon all men. So even when you hear that it's women preaching and all of that, that's the reason. Because they have now, right? They can, according to the Bible. You need to be washed and cleansed, change, accountability. You know, that's what this is about. You need to be reborn again. Nicodemus asked Jesus, how? But once again, parables are for the initiated and for those that think, that are free to think. Peace to the guys, man. Tap in, I'm gone, man. I'll holler at y'all in a little bit. Thank y'all for the gifts. Thank y'all for tapping in. I appreciate it.